All right. Good evening, everyone. Dave Wilson of the Ringer Hire Show. Hey, it's good to be back. It's been about 2 weeks, and we got Jason Risoli and Eric Campbell on tonight. How's everybody doing, guys?
Hey,
Doing
Dave.
great.
Hey, Eric.
Doing good. We got a
Ready to
great
go.
show tonight. We have a great show. We're going to talk about employee engagement techniques and performance management, and we'll be right back after this. All right, guys. The goal of tonight is be on the lookout for Kenny.
We are. There we go. And by the way, Dave, love the new background. I love
it. Thank you. Yeah, they come up with some pretty cool things. And the logo was designed by another person on Fever App. It took me a while. You know, what's nice about the guys over there is like you don't know who you're going to get. You look at all their work. You look at all the reviews. It's kind of nice because you can see what they do. They're the most polite people you ever want to work with, you know, and you try to get your vision in them and it works,
Absolutely.
You know, and, you know,
we can do a whole podcast on them supporting, businesses and they're used. I don't know, Eric, I don't want to get into that topic, but they're used for talent acquisition, but there's not that much besides talent acquisition within the HR realm.
Yeah.
I think that folks on Fever and some of those other niche gig type of websites,
on there.
I can do a whole podcast, Dave.
We got James on the show. James also, guys, you need to connect with him. He does a lot of great podcasts, a lot of great subjects. We've known each other for a while. Yeah, he's done really well. All right. Tonight's show, I got the first question. I'm just going to say it right out. Jason, what the hell do employees want? If you had to name top three things, what do you think is the top three things that they want?
What do women want? And I don't want to alienate half the population that watches this, but it's like everyone's different, right? And I said it before. What do they want? It could be some want money, some want hours, some want type of work, some want career growth opportunities, some want recognition. They're all different. They're all people come in all shapes and sizes with all different types of demands, and there is no one size fits all.
No one size. Eric, in your industry, I mean, I know you say you handle like with HVAC and all that. What do you see like in a field of that, like that? The having the schooling and everything that they have. What do you see in that?
Well, I mean, in people are looking for money, right? They're looking for money. They're looking for benefits. They're looking for more so now they're looking for careers, right? They're not looking for just a job. And it's funny that you brought up this topic because just yesterday, if you go onto a company's Indeed profile on there, that company page, there's an actual award system now that shows you the top 20 companies that have the best work well-being, because that's a score now, is a work well-being. And I was looking at some of these things, and you bring up this this topic. It's like one of them is how meaningful people find their work, how fair people feel they're paid, how encouraged people feel they are, how accomplished people feel. Just there's 15 different metrics that anybody that's worked for the company or currently works for a company can go in and do this. And I was looking at the top 20, and I said, we're not on there. I said, how do we get on there? Because I was looking at it, I was like, there was a truck stop company is number one. is absolutely number one. And I was like,
Really?
I've been to those truck stops. No one looks happy working there, yet their scores are incredible. Not even the customers looked happy. And I was just like, I was like,
Love
this
it.
is crazy. But it shows you what
people at
are
Buckley's always look happy from whenever I went, but they're not. But they don't allow trucks, so I don't know.
The trucks, yeah. We used to go there. That's when we used to drink all night, and then you always went to the truck stop for those great eggs and potatoes and bacon. That was really good. Craig says most want work-life balance first, and to that, Craig, do you feel, guys, that when he says that right there, I always felt that since COVID, we didn't know what that word meant. That's just me, because I never heard it before COVID, of work-life balance. Like, what the hell is that? Because today I was reading this thing on Gen Zs, right? They were complaining because they have to work 9 to 5. They have to get up at 7 in the morning, and they have no time for friends. They have no time for family. They have no time to do anything after work. Everybody's tired. And I'm like, my God, I wish I could only work 8 hours sometimes back in the day. It was always 15 hours a day, 10.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if I agree so much with that as a majority, but it's definitely a bigger factor, in my opinion, over the past years. Again, as dual income earners and the demand of having, raising children and the activities that the children are in, and demand on how fast-paced life is nowadays. There's one commonality I always think.
Right.
People want happiness.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know too many people that say I don't want to be happy. I want to be miserable. They want to be happy. And what makes people happy is different for every person. Right. And,
right.
But the big thing that's common is they want their job to contribute to their happiness. They want their job to be a part of that, and not detract, not take away from their happiness. So whether that is the work-life balance, whether that is them rich, whether that is getting them a TV title, making sure they have good benefits, don't have to work weekends, whatever that is, they want their employer to contribute to their happy life. Right. That's what they want.
Right. Right. And I mean, work-life balance is different for everybody. Some people say I got to be off work at 5 o'clock. Some people say, my work-life balance is, 9 o'clock at night. No one bothers me. It all really depends on that person, and having to understand when, either coming into a company or transitioning inside of a company, what is it that they do? I was pleasantly surprised where I am at today is, my boss is the chief HR officer, and she doesn't like to bother me after hours. And I was, and Jason and I's old boss, we would get emails every 3 hours throughout the night, and with her, sometimes expecting, answers first thing in the morning. So it all depends on the work-life balance of what you want.
I wish, we talk all the time about the metrics, like you said, how many metrics, and to measure all that, like what do people want? Because I really believe if you can make a couple changes, if it's possible, like a lot of people coming in on the entry level, believe it or not now, and even women in the workforce for the entry level are coming into logistics centers more and more, because everybody needs to work a first shift, second shift, or a third, because they're going back and forth, like they need that transition time because of all the daycare costs and everything's expensive. So if you could sell it to where, wow, you're getting, a certain level of shifts, that really can really turn things around.
Yeah, no, absolutely, David. I actually, one thing that's come out more and more is the quote unquote the gig economy, in the gig work settings, is the flexibility that it allows. And that was something that I was kind of putting together and trying to work on. And I proposed that instead, I think employers nowadays have to look at changing up the way that they schedule work. And what I think that from what I experienced through engagement results and different types of feedback that research studies, is that employees want to schedule themselves. Yeah. They don't want to be scheduled. And there's definitely overlap there. Not all roles, but there's definitely overlap in roles where employers are able to say, hey, get your work done, and I don't care what hours you work. Or, as long as you work 40 hours a week, or 8 hours a day, you tell us what hours you want to work, and there's some sort of consistency to it. I think that again offers the work-life balance, the flexibility, and that ownership that employees are looking for out of their employer. Like they own their own schedule, they own their own ability to not be dictated to or told when they have to work versus selecting their own hours that make. I mean, that's why Uber is so successful, right? Because people literally just switch it over, turn the app on, and get in their car, make a right, drop their kid off at a birthday party, right, and then go work for 2 hours driving people around, come back, and get up from a birthday party. I mean, that's the flexibility that Uber allows, the flexibility that people want, and that's what those are some of those things that employers need to learn how to do is to capitalize on that, and they'll be able to hire more people, retain more people, and have a higher level of engagement from those that are with them.
From that, Eric, that's got to be tough. I mean, even in your field there, because yours is like a 7-day week. There's always something with HVAC going on. I can imagine the way things are, even just like you handle commercial. Wow, that must be crazy because there's work-life balance, but there's also they work weekends. That you got to know that. I mean, going into this, you got to know it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. It's like, yeah, we promote work-life balance. We really do, but we also tell them, listen, there's going to be plenty of overtime, and there's going to be on call, and you're not on call every single time. You're not working the weekends every single time. Right. We rotate it. We keep it fair. It's not like you're my favorite employee, I'm never going to have you on call in on the weekends, because in the industry that I'm in, people have to learn how to manage their money because when it starts slowing down, some of the hours do get cut, So if they are banking, their time and just saying, okay, I've got money to float me for 2 months if things slow down, which, fortunately things aren't slowing down in my industry.
No,
so it's one of those things that I look at it and people have to understand they make it what they want. What type of work-life balance do you want? Do you want to make? I know that there's technicians that make more than I do, and I'm a manager of talent acquisition. I'm okay with that because they're doing what they need to do for their family, how they feel their work-life balance needs to be, because they're banking it, and they can literally take a week off with no pay if they wanted to, if they were out of vacation time, because they earned it. They know they can afford it.
They can afford it. The one company a couple of years ago I worked at, they came out with unlimited time off, PTO. It was just unlimited, all your vacations. And when it first came out, everybody was like, wow, wait a minute here. I have 3 to 4 weeks. So now they're going to get 3 to 4 weeks. Everybody gets 3 to 4 weeks. I saw the ups and downs of it, and nobody really takes full advantage of it when it was happening because people were still just taking their natural time because you didn't know. And it sounds great when you have an employee come in and say, okay, how much vacation time? Whatever you need. What? Or you were PTO to, oh, no, whatever you need if your job's done. Yeah. But you always have people that test it, and then it changes the rules a little bit here and there, because in concept it was great, but I didn't take advantage of it because I was nervous as hell saying, oh, I don't want to take off more than I had.
Yeah, my in between companies where I was at, I had flexible time off, full, unlimited time off, whatever you want to call it. And my boss had said, yeah, you can take the first week off if you wanted to. And I go, well, that seems a little bit weird. I'm not going to do that. But I learned something. Okay. Right. And it's kind of it's an out. And Jason, I don't know if, labor laws and stuff like that have caught up with this, but guess what, David, if I give you unlimited PTO, I don't have to pay you out anything if you leave.
Exactly. That's what it was. Yeah. A lot of
so it. It's an advantage for a company because, and you give it to certain levels, and I know that we have it at our company at certain levels, but you know what? Those people are working and they're traveling all the time. They want to take 4 weeks off sometime during the go for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine.
A couple of things. And you're exactly right, Eric, about certain states mandate payout of unused vacation time because it's time owed, it's earned income, as well as carryover. There's certain states, California, Colorado, Montana, I believe, and 2 other states that require carryover vacation. So if there's no vacation bank, then how can you carry over any unused time? So that eliminates the company's need or obligation to allow carryover vacation. Well, and then the other thing is again, when someone has a bank of time, they feel like they have to use it, right? So it's like the kid going to to school with $5
Right.
for the book club. The kid's got to spend the $5, right? He won't come home with $3, right?
With nothing.
I'm not trying to compare everybody to kids, but what I'm saying is you have that bank, you feel like you're losing something if there's more time in the bank. When there's it's called a non-accrual vacation plan.
Right.
When you have a non-accrual plan, you don't necessarily feel like you've lost anything, but to Eric's point, you do feel, or your point, that you do feel guilty about going beyond what you used to have. And then there's the peer pressure aspect of, well, why is Bobby taking so much time this year? I'm allowed to, but is Bobby really going to do that instead of his camaraderie of the others at work? So it really works out to the employer's advantage.
They had some of the people were, if you were the manager, that was the hardest part, being the manager of it, because you controlled it. So when somebody would want some time off, it was based on your performance too. So if your performance, so then if you turned their day down because no, you can't because your performance, but guess what? You by doing that, if you didn't write that employee up or if you didn't counsel, then boom, then that was holding you accountable. Why didn't you speak to this person about their job? I think we got Goof right here saying, "Oh no, can't hear Jason." She can't.
No, I was on mute. You can hear?
I was on mute.
Can you hear me?
You have something going on in the background? The TV.
I know I do.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. I was wondering. I thought it was Jason. I was thinking of Jason.
No.
But have you seen any new types of things for flex time, Jason or Eric? Have you seen anything lately, or
for flex time? What I've been very impressed with the amount of time. Because again, I'm still interviewing for a job, and I think everyone knows that they're watching this right now. I've been very impressed with some of the time off, the PTO policies that have been out there with some of these employers I've been interviewing with. Very, very generous plans. But there was one in particular that really, really stuck out to me. They had a flexible holiday that employees could take, but it was designated to their own either religious or cultural belief. So it was a floating holiday, but it had to be used specifically for a closely held religious or cultural belief. So whether it's Columbus Day or we just had Diwali, right? So it might be Diwali, So it's something again, it was great because it gave the day, but didn't designate it for a specific day. Just said, hey, use it for what you believe in and what you hold close to yourself. So it was still designated for a specific reason, but did give the employee the flexibility to use it for what, for the reason that's most personal to them. So I really did like that offering and how that company structured the policy.
That's
I know it was only one day, but I did. I mean, granted, I never saw it before, and that was really nice.
Yeah, see, I really like the concept of like floating holidays. You get, as a bonus, you get 2 at the first half of the year, 2 at the end of the half of the year. That way, if let's say your birthday landed during the week and you wanted to take that day off, you can use that as a floating holiday. So I really like that concept of just, here you go. Some people just call it, instead of a floating holiday, it's a you get your PTO and then you get 2 personal days or 3 personal days. But yeah, I like seeing people get more creative with
it
the
does
way off is. I mean, one of the people that I know, David, you use them, Indeed. One of their culture and philosophies is, I think, one Friday a month they're off. They get a 3-day weekend.
Nice.
It's just the way it is. And I was like, that's crazy. What if I have a problem?
Right.
But I like that concept of, hey,
that is. I like that. I'd like to see.
The thing with the floating holidays. Sorry, Dave. The other thing was about the floating holidays. Again, I like it too, Eric, because instead of saying, oh, you have 10 holidays a year, or there's 6 holidays designated and then 4 floaters, is that business still operates, right? If the business has 10 holidays, well, those 4 extra days, guess what? The business is really not operating. They've lost 4 days of productivity. Whereas if you do floating holidays, it's spread out amongst your employee population. The business is still generating money for those days because not everybody's off. It's spread out. So, the business has an opportunity to continue to make more, to drive revenue, especially in jobs, again, where there's frontline service and people collecting money, right? That concept of the floating holidays, I think, works very well rather than more designated holidays. So I agree with Eric 100% on that.
And it's got to be hard too, especially with family members. I still take it. You got to think of the employees. When you have some kind of other flex time, like I've always would like to see. Let's face it. I mean, kids at school, things happen. People need to leave. And you get penalized. But I understand why you get penalized. You can only have so many latenesses, or something's going on. There's an emergency. They lateness and call-offs are different, but I wish there was something that you could use more of that, like an 8-hour time frame, like even like you said with the holidays, but you could gear it towards what you want. If you have to leave 2 hours early, you're not going to be in trouble because you're going to pick up your family member. But when you have a group of 500 people, I get it. You got to have some kind of rules.
Agreed, but there's also I think there's a bigger demand nowadays for flexibility, right? For human compassion, because it goes a lot. I mean, granted, if someone is what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying not to use any kind of profanity.
Right.
Of course, like if someone's doing wrong, right, and taking advantage of a policy, of course they got to be addressed.
Right.
But if they're not being negligent and abusing the policy, people expect compassion nowadays. Right. They expect managers to work and because that's going to go a lot longer. To be like, really, you wrote up Johnny because he had to leave early because his daughter was sick at school. Like, come on,
right? You
couldn't cut him a break. So those types of things go a long way, rather than, well, Johnny leaves every Friday at 2:00 claiming that his daughter's sick. Yeah, right. Go write him up, right? So his peers, people see that, right? So employers are becoming a little bit more flexible, I believe, with those types of situations, Dave.
With that.
Yeah.
Eric, have you seen anything in reference to, bereavement? Everybody, let's face it. Normal places, I think through the years, I've always seen it's like 3 to 4 days, that you get. Have you ever felt that should be longer time for immediate family more so? Or I don't think I've heard of that being as a perk.
It's not something that you promote as a perk when you're in recruiting, saying, hey, by the way, you get this if someone passes away. But yeah, I mean, I think if it's immediate family, sometimes 3 days is definitely not going to be enough. And I hope a lot of us managers out there understand that it's not. So at the end of the day, feel compassion, as Jason was saying, and say, hey, don't worry about it. Take an extra couple of days off, because I really think at the end of the day, you've got a policy that HR is probably written. All of us HR professionals, always have our input on it. And at the end of the day, though, I think it can be used as a gray line, right? I'm saying, if I had somebody that passed away in my family and Jason was my HR business partner, which, I mean, hey, listen, he was at one point in time. So I'm pretty sure Jason would have been like, yeah, you know what, Eric, just take the extra couple of days off, especially if it's immediate. Like, they live in the house with you, that it can impact you, emotionally. You're not going to be fully there at work, because you got other things that are going on. So it goes back to that word compassion.
The passion.
Yeah, and people often think like, oh, go back to work, stay busy, you'll be fine. But there's actually a flip side of that. Is because you go back to work and then everyone's saying, reinforcing, I am so sorry to hear about so-and-so the loss. And then it's just bringing up, in essence, a PTSD of just losing somebody, which could trigger even worse emotional, trauma to that person versus trying to come back to work and keep their mind occupied with work. So I agree. I agree with Eric. I think there are definitely some compassion. I've seen 7-day policies. I think for immediate, the one that I've seen most is probably a 5-day policy, or the norm I think is a 5-day policy, for immediate, wife or child or parent. But again, the most I've seen. Now, one thing I do know is that I've known some companies that are out there that actually allow for sabbaticals,
Right.
For employees. So not a disability leave, not for care of another through a FMLA type, but just a flat out, you could take, once you've been there for 2 years or 3 years, you could take a 6-month sabbatical. Just, hey, I'm going to have to take off for 6 months. I want to travel the world, and it's unpaid. It's not paid.
That. Wow.
But
that would be nice.
That's a cool policy too. So again, I'm not saying someone uses it because of the death of an immediate family member, but should they have a need, so Eric and I, again, with a previous employer we had that we worked together, there was a lot of employees that were from other countries, specifically the Middle East, and they had to actually go back for months and months at a time in order to take care of the estate. It was a months-long process, and our employer didn't offer a sabbatical. I mean, they offered a limited sabbatical, 60-day max, but they needed more.
I've never heard of that word right off the top of my head.
Well, yeah, there was personal leave you could take, but again, these employees needed more than that 60 days. They needed truly a 3 to 6 month sabbatical where they can go unpaid with the opportunity to come back, with a job guarantee to come back into their role, because they couldn't. They had a death, an immediate death. Usually it was their parents that were still in Afghanistan or somewhere in the Middle East that passed away, and it literally took months and months to get the estate recovered. Determined to sell the property, and things don't work as expeditiously as our probate courts do in the United States and other countries. I'm sure you understand that. But yeah, they had so that was needed, and that's another policy I think that employers could use for situations like if someone did have a traumatic, a death that was very traumatizing to them. That if they offered a sabbatical, they could take more time if needed.
Is there a lot of things, Jason, for all the different cultures? I know you said about the a floating holiday, but there's so many different cultures now, and what we go through, and the different holidays that people take off, or they do prayer, Muslim, everything. There's all different things that I can imagine in HR that it's just must be. I guess I've never people promoting it, but I guess that comes down to the HR department, right? I mean, when it comes to
no, absolutely. I mean, there's very limited federal law that covers these, but there's a lot of state law. That there's a lot of state laws. I mean, the state of New York has a law that protects religious rights and religious freedom. So again, we always have to run into times where in New York, for Sabbath, those that practice Judaism, they got to be home by sundown on Fridays, and they don't work Saturdays. So. And that was protected right that they're entitled to, and there's others that have similar obligations for prayer and time to take for prayer or fasting, and for Muslims during certain times of year they do fasting, and those are entitlements that they have, but again, in very limited federal entitlements when it comes to things like that cultural recognized or religious recognition of certain rights.
I can imagine what you go through, and with HR, all the new things there. Can you imagine everything that comes up? I just look at that and the decisions that you have to make. I mean, that's what's really hard. And I like how you said compassion.
That's why we give everybody the HR answer. I'm not sure about it. Give me 24 hours to get back to you. But then we got to go research, because there's so, like you said, there's so much.
I mean, the emails that I'll sometimes get from my other counterparts in HR saying, here are all the different laws that have changed here in the United States, and each by state. And I'm reading some of them and I go, did somebody really needed this to be a law? And, some of them are out there, but, I love staying up to date with that, because at the end of the day, it allows you to think globally instead of just inside your own little box in your own little world.
There were some things here I wanted to go through. That's what I love about Google when we prepare for shows, because you can actually learn some good things, man. You believe that when you read things, you learn. You put it through there.
I learn every week when you quiz me, Dave. I learn.
Yeah, I know. And this one here, these are just basic things that I think that some companies have gotten away from. Like, let's just say employee of the month. Usually you had the parking, you had, you get everything. But if you don't follow through with it, that's the thing. You can say you have it, but I think that's always a good thing and rewarding or something, to recognize your employees.
Oh yeah. I mean, I on a monthly basis, we use a HR system called Nectar, and we have a budget that allows us to put points in there, and I'm able to give points to people, and it equates out to dollars, and they can get anywhere from a gift card to our swag, you name it, it's in there. One of the things that we do at the end of the year, though, that all of our technicians really go for, is we do the tech awards, and they get partial payments of vacations this past year, and they get a plaque, like a trophy type thing they can put on a trophy case. I believe that employee recognition is huge, whether it's just saying, "Hey, Jason, you did a great job today," and recognizing that, and then empowering them on it, to all the way of something that's going to maybe financially impact them.
Right. And I can imagine that even that, like you said, you don't see the plaques. We used to give in the paper industry, we always gave out plaques. They always did, because I just think that's something nice, man. You're holding that up there and you get your picture. And with social media nowadays, I think that just falls into your company culture, of showing them what you do for employees.
Yeah. The traveling trophies are always nice ones also. Those are the, where you can, pin one department against another, or one area, one warehouse against another warehouse, because it's the team awards as well. So recognition isn't always, it's more than just individual recognition. The team recognition goes quite a long way as well.
Long way. Before I lose my thought here on the one subject I wanted to talk about real quick was 401ks as a perk. If you take the younger generation, now like me, I like a 401k because I understand it, man. But in today's world, and even on the entry level side and middle management, a lot of people don't even ask about that. They don't even, that's just my opinion. I mean, and that's a big thing. I try to explain to them. I mean, listen, you're getting money. They're matching. You're earning money. But do you feel that's a perk?
You would not believe the amount of people that don't even just take the minimum match, right? Invest $100, the company matches that $100. Like, they don't even take advantage of it, because that's, like you said, it's almost like free money. But they don't do it. It's just crazy. But what I find more and more even nowadays is not even just the 401k though. People just want ownership. Like, they expect equity of the company. They want a profit share. So I think that's a bigger a bigger demand, or a bigger coming up in the future, is that they want some sort of profit sharing plan where, the company's making money, I want to make money as well. I mean, it used to be the stock options or the stock ownership plan. They invest in some stock, and then, but they want, people want equity nowadays.
Do you get a lot of people, Eric, in your field there asking about that at all, or not?
I mean, not so much on the support type roles, but as a higher level position comes about, but I mean, I am absolutely surprised that a big question by any walk of life is, okay, so you have a 401k, yes,
right, you
have matching, and I like to go into detail saying we'll match up to 6%, but you get 50% of it. So you put in 6% of your paycheck, they're going to give you 3%. I like to really spell it out, because when you say just a matching 401k, people are like automatically, oh, well, if I put in 10%, then they're going to give me 10%. But absolutely, to me, it has become a perk. And I think it's a lot more of the Gen Z, millennials, and whatever generation we're in today. Gen Xers do, think about it. I think about it. I'm a Gen Xer. But at the end of the day, it's about building up some personal equity for the future. And I feel that it's important for an employer, whether it be your manager, whether it be your HR, whether it be your comp and benefits, your total rewards, that you go over it with them. When we start people in our corporate office, we go over it, because we want to make sure you understand, hey, take advantage of this. And
when Bill Clinton was president and Donald Trump, between both of them, they were my two favorite presidents because I made money on the 401k during this. I can always remember because I'm like, even when President Trump was in there, the 401ks were flying. And I was like, wow. So I transferred over the last 3 jobs. Every time I leave one, here we go. I got to put it in another one. But I say it like that. But
I would highly suggest not, it's even more specific. And I know I'm not a tax advisor or a financial advisor at all, but, go with the Roth IRA. If your company does not have a 401k, because there's a lot of employers that don't even offer it, right?
Right.
Look at taking $1,000 a year and putting it in a Roth IRA, especially if you're a younger individual, because that money will compounding interest and compounding growth, and then it's tax free. When you withdraw it, because you're taking an after tax fund, putting it in there, and then when you withdraw it at say 65 or 70 years old, it's tax free when you withdraw it, and it's accumulated that much over that time period. So, I think it's Roth IRA. Now, as an employer, if you can do a 401k with a Roth IRA match,
right,
okay, where you're allowed to do that, that's something. If your employees, if you can explain, like Eric's saying, if you can really explain the details of that benefit, a Roth IRA 401k match is very, very nice offering versus just a traditional 401k.
Right. That makes sense.
So like we do the 401k match, but inside of the 401k, we do have the option for a Roth IRA. I don't believe it's matching. If I might have missed it, but it gives me the ability. So I have two streams of income, because I think it's a lot of people think about the here and the now, right? We never think of the future because the future is so far away. But at the end of the day, if the more multiple streams you could be putting money into things, I'm not saying go out and buy some Bitcoin because I think the ship sailed on that.
Right.
But if you're employed, take advantage of all of the benefits that you have at your fingertips, because you just never know. Like you said, David, you've rolled, from one company to another company to another company. It pays off in the long run. And if you want to start playing, the stock market inside of your 401k, I knew somebody that they changed their 401k of where it was going every single month.
Yeah.
He even got down to sometimes every single week he would change it. But you know what? I didn't. We looked at the money that I had invested in my 401k in a previous life, and I looked at his. His was 3 to 4 times the amount, and we were putting the same dollar amount in from our paychecks.
And just from learning that,
just from playing, and I was just like, "How do you have enough time in your life?" We'll go back to the work-life balance right there, because there was none. Because that's all he did: worked, and then he played 401k game.
He was in the wrong. Who's obviously in the wrong profession. He should have been a trader.
Yeah, absolutely. He should have been a day trader.
I think that comes down to where I think you really need to have people come in and explain the 401ks to the people. I always tell people about it. I just say, I talk about it simply, but I think to educate your employees on it would be ideal if they really sat down and like Jason, you showed how, if you show them by putting in this much by direct deposit, coming out of your paycheck, you don't see it. I never checked it. I would be like, oh, I don't even know what I have in there. I don't want to know, because you just set it and forget it. Every time I got a raise, I took that money and I put it in there. That was my 401k contribution every time I got my increase.
Another big thing is the tax benefits of some of these plans. Again, I won't forget
for daycare
one time.
too.
Exactly. Your health care as well is the tax savings from lowering your income. I won't forget, and I felt so bad because she's one of my favorite bosses of all time. I got it. An increase one year. I don't know. I think it was tied to a promotion or something. I'm not sure if it was tied to a promotion, but I got a wage increase.
Right.
It was not. I ended up getting $50 more a month. But it was like several $1,000 increase a year, but I only got $50 more a month because it hit me up to the next tax bracket. Because I was in the next tax bracket, it ate away all the money I was getting. So I was like, what the heck? So I had to move my money around. I had to, finagle with putting some more money in my 401k and to drop me back into that lower tax bracket, and then it gave me more money. So again, to be able to understand some of these things, you it definitely helps with understanding
Right.
these things.
That's what
how your money's taxed, how you have to use a 401k like you said, how to lower your income through tax benefits such as healthcare or an FSA.
Even with the medical, you can do that also on there. You can take a certain amount of money a year tax free.
Right.
And again, it comes down to really feel education. And we used to have people come into the companies and explain that to you. That was their jobs. That would come in. You could meet with somebody that day in the cafeteria. You could do that and talk about it. There was something I saw today with Amazon that they were, I'm sure you've seen it, to where they were telling everybody to come back to work. The working from home, didn't come back. So Amazon bent a little bit and said, okay, it's going to be a hybrid now for 3 days. But people still are not coming back. And they announced today that they put these, I don't know, when people walked in the building, it registered, and that didn't make sense because maybe their salaries, it registered them so they can see we're a hybrid model, because that's one thing we've always talked about, have a perk for working from home or hybrid. But some companies, that is a selling point. That is a perk. And, I like the hybrid version. I think the hybrid is a good way to go. That's me.
Well, it's a middle ground, right, Dave? So, the companies, there's a reason why they don't want totally remote.
Right. I think there we go.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you, bud. So from a hybrid model, it's that middle ground, as I was saying. Companies, for some reason or not, they can't go fully remote. There's certain roles that they can't do remote all the time. Managers have trust issues on why they don't want to let their employees work remotely. But then again, they realize if they're in office or on site, whatever you want to call it, 5 days a week, it's really going to impact engagement, employee morale, their retention, their ability to recruit. It severely inhibits them from being a competitive employer. So they find that middle ground with the hybrid. The one thing about the hybrid, though, from things that I've experienced and people I've talked to, is that the days, so it's what the effectiveness of someone being in the office, if teams aren't there together on certain days, and Bobby comes in on a Tuesday and Sally comes in on a Thursday, and then Johnny comes in on a Wednesday. Well, then the point of them being hybrid, of being on site, that whole creative innovation of being together is lost.
Right.
So I think there is somewhat of a need to dictate, hey, Wednesday is the in-office day, when you go to these models. So that way they can get those team meetings together in person, where they can do some of the, in a room with the whiteboard to get that. But, otherwise just to simply check the box for hybrid and people come into the office 2 days a week. I know it offers flexibility, but what's it really doing if the team atmosphere isn't together? I think that's the point of being hybrid. One of the major points of being hybrid is to bring those people together on the same day in the same location, so that way you can get those creative juices flowing between them.
And that makes total sense.
What you're saying about this that's something I had to change in some of the culture where I'm at, is that people were taking, I'm going to be remote on this day. Oh, I'm going to be remote on this day. Oh, and it just changed every single week. Like, oh, I want to be remote on this day because, I'm going to do an early dinner or something like that. We actually went to a model where Wednesday, I break up the week now. So I don't allow anybody to be remote on a Monday or on a Friday, because visibility just tells leadership in any company they're taking a 3-day weekend. But Wednesdays we're remote. We're remote because it breaks up the week. But every other day of the week we're in the office. At least half of my team is in the office, because I have another half of my team across the country. But at the end of the day, it breaks up the week, and the camaraderie, like you're saying, is there because we can feed off of each other.
Right. And that's what's nice about it.
And then we all are like on a Tuesday, we're like, hey, see you on Thursday, and it's just really great. It just
I like
works.
that middle. It works.
Yeah.
Mike James, gentlemen, thanks for professional guidance. Love it.
He's talking about Jason. He's definitely talking about Jason.
Oh, I know, right? Jason always has it.
I'm over the brown suit today.
Yeah, I can't. Is that brown? I can't.
Yeah,
it looks green.
The colors are always like maybe it is green. I'm half colorblind actually, so my wife tells me I am. So I know I'm wearing a partly blue
Jason, it's
tie.
a pink suit.
Yeah,
Jason, it's a pink suit. Why are you wearing a pink suit?
Yeah, right. Wearing the pink. Oh my God. A couple more things I have here. And again, I never get through my, oh my God, 30 pages. About Jason, this is your thing you like to always talk about the mentorship programs. I believe that they should have more of that. I like that word. I really do. I like that word mentorship, because some people, even if you can't teach them ever, like if they're in one job and they haven't been promoted, but you can always just teach that person. When in the paper industry, we always learn the job ahead. We were always learning ahead because you wanted to make sure you were covered. But I love that word, mentorship.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everyone would say that there's some of the best mentors in life were their basketball coach or something like that, because it wasn't about them teaching them how to do a free throw. It was the guidance that they provided them, and the opportunity that they gave them to show them how, the how about it, from a mentorship perspective. And by the way, you can get mentors anyway in life. You don't have to be given a mentor. You can go find a mentor, right? You can reach out to people on LinkedIn, and it's not about being assigned somebody. A mentorship could be simply asking someone a question and then getting an answer, on various topics to various people, because those answers are part of your growth, right? It's little bits and pieces of your knowledge. I mean, today I learned something. It was mind blowing on how to determine what a percentage is, based off a whole number, and what number that it was. Like, it was mind blowing, but so that just that one little learning is still mentoring. But getting back to the other point though is, having a mentor or having mentorship in your life is empowering. It's ongoing learning. It's an ability to seek support or receive support without it being so defined. All right, without it being so dictated. It's free flowing, which people want, and I think and then it builds when you do have someone that you work with, it builds a friendship, right? It builds, and it's almost like a give back, right? It's like a pay it forward give back. Like, I mentored somebody, that person then again wants to mentor somebody else. They want to continue that on. And then there is defined mentorship. There is. So, I want to bring up 360 feedbacks, right? So 360 feedback is when you get feedback from your boss, from your business partners. Okay.
You copied off. That was my next thing. I didn't understand a lot of that.
I know. I got So I knew where you're going. So, or people that work for you, right? So based on that 360 feedback, you're then built a development plan usually, or you have a development plan, and then with that, part of that development plan is usually getting somebody to work with you, okay, either on a weakness and an opportunity, or on a strength to prepare you for a next level. So that's where you get into mentorship, where it is a little bit more structured, but it's typically based off of an employee review or a 360-degree feedback. That's where it often originates within a company. But again, that's a defined mentorship program through a defined process. But mentorship can come in so many different forms from so many different people. Again, I could be seen it. Three of us could be seen as mentors to people that watch this show.
Right.
Even though we don't ever talk to those folks. But you see the comments. Oh, your guidance is wonderful. It's so enlightening. That's mentorship. We're indirect, and that's why I do podcasts, and I feel so strong about this subject, is because that's why I've been doing your podcast, a couple other podcasts. I even do my own little podcast on stuff for my own stuff, because sharing these things is like part of giving back and being a mentor to others without having to be one-on-one. We can hit a broad scope of people. We have thousands of people that watch the show, which they were all on right now, but we do have
I know, right? I know.
That they watch it for a reason, because we are mentors to those folks. They're learning something from us, whether directly or through video at a later time, because it's recorded. We are all mentors, and that's again why I feel so passionate about it.
Eric, do you think in your field that could be a really good perk, because in your field there with HVAC, they need to learn. I mean, the knowledge in HVAC is incredible. So I can imagine as being a perk, like you said, with the program, it has to be some type of a program. Could you sell that as a perk? I really believe you could.
I mean, in general, yes, because, you know, just like in any walk of life, as Jason is saying, you know, you need a mentor. You know, I've had mentors in my life, and, you know, depending on, you know, where Jason and I used to work, I used to consider, you know, some of the knowledge that I would get from Jason is him being a mentor on some of the laws that, you know, I just wasn't clear on. But him and I talking created that. Now I was provoked. I wanted to learn more. So it allowed me to continue on a path. But, you know, I believe that in any type of position to enrich growth and as a perk, you should have some type of thing, whether it be like a lead mentor technician or a lead mentor analyst, you know, whatever job anybody has, there's always somebody that's there that can be considered that. You know, I look at it and I think of just growth development and really training somebody to take my job is really what it all boils down to. And I have 2 team leads that I'm now starting to pour into and saying, listen, I've got ambitions of growing, you know, things. I need to teach you certain things. I don't care if I'm the one that's getting the accolades. You know, as long as it gets done. If you're the one that's running the report and you're making sure that this key metric is stable, I'm a happy person. You know, it's all about empowering somebody, and I want to develop them because, you know, I've read a lot of John Maxwell books.
I think we all have. I think really good books.
I mean, I love listening to his Minute with Maxwell, you know, that he's done. But, you know, you can't be afraid to mentor somebody. You're only successful as the people that you surround yourself with. I don't need to know everything in talent acquisition. But if I surround myself with leaders that can fill the gap, I'm going to be more successful. They're going to be more successful. And you know what they always say, that rising tide raises all ships.
All right, I like that. Jason, one more thing.
Mentorship's instinctual, guys, right? I mean, it's human. It's not even human nature. It's just nature. I mean, go watch Animal Kingdom, right? The mother that just gave birth to the newborn animal is teaching them how to stand up, right? That's mentorship. You know, the lion is teaching the cub how to hunt. That's mentorship. So the bear is teaching the cub how to get the salmon out of the river. That's mentorship.
Mentorship.
You know, it's instinctual, right? You know, the big brother is teaching the younger brother how to throw a football. That's mentorship. Right? That's not a coach. That's mentorship. So mentorship is instinctual. It's within us. So it's just the atmosphere of how it's come about. And the environment that it's being used in, but it's instinctual and human nature to want a mentor, to want somebody to go through life with you, you know, on certain aspects. So.
And it's funny that you brought up this topic, Dave, is because through LinkedIn, sometimes, you know, certain people, I don't know how I got selected, but it was to contribute to an article that they're writing, that they kind of wrote, and then they said, here, add your feedback to this, so that you can, you know. And the very first one was all about mentors and mentors and mentees, you know, of what you should do. And I had an absolute field day with that one. I was just like, I'm commenting on every single one. I wanted to write 3 or 4 comments on some of them, but it was just, I mean, I love that, you know, everybody recognizes that, you know, you need that type of relationship in your life. You know, it's not about you thinking, well, I'm just not good enough. It's about I want to get better.
Yeah, because it's free. I always say it's free, boy. Even at work, man. If I want to learn something, I'm going to ask. You know, I'm going to be like, hey, what do you do there? How do you do this? You know, and it's people like to teach people.
My closing point on mentorship, though, it can be a double-edged sword, because a good mentor is great. A bad mentor is disastrous. because
Right.
what I mean by it is, I could I could teach someone how to throw that football the right way as a good mentor.
Right.
But if I'm a bad mentor and I don't teach them how to throw the football the right way, I completely destroyed that person's opportunities, right?
Yeah.
So same
I guess
thing
when you look at
same thing in the
I agree.
workplace. You can teach somebody how to do something the right way or the right habits. If I'm teaching them the wrong habits, it could lead to them getting terminated, right?
Terminated.
Because they're all so a mentorship is awesome. Having a good mentor versus a poor mentor, who to
Right.
put in that lead mentor tech position, who to put in those mentorship leadership types of positions is very, very important. Because again, it's not just about at that point, it's no longer the individual.
Right.
It's the contribution that they're making to others at that point. So that's where, again,
build your character too. I love it. One more thing I talked about is, which I noticed some companies are doing, and we did a few of them, is the volunteering. I like how companies allow, like when I was with Staffmart, they allowed 8 hours. You were allowed to volunteer anywhere of your choice for 8 hours a year. And I just thought that was pretty cool. And a bunch of us would go to certain places. We would help at the food banks and stuff like that, packing lunches. And I just think that's a kind of a perk to me, because it's a day out of work and a day of being with your team and everything like that.
Does jury duty count as that? No.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, jury duty on top of that, right? Yeah, volunteer, right?
But, yeah, I'm volunteering. I'm doing my civic duty
for your civic duty.
No, I think it's a great concept.
Yeah. I've seen that before as well, Dave. And again, it's one of those things that I reference them as employers of choice, right? Those are things that employers of choice do. They have policies and progressive policies and benefits packages that allow that they're able to pride themselves on and market themselves in a way that draw in candidates. Because again, you can't just say we have the best wages, or we have the best health benefits, or we don't work Fridays. Because to some people it's, hey, I get 8 hours a year to volunteer and do what I love. So it's a mix. It's not having the best of everything, but it's having different things that in that variety that to make a total rewards package. That's why they call it total rewards now, right?
Right. Yeah, I know.
Total rewards package that they offer that makes them such an employer of choice for why candidates want to be there. The whole, going back to how we started this podcast today, no one size fits all, right? It's that variety of the offering that makes them that awesome. And yes, I've seen that, and it's a great policy that should be included. That actually should be included on all companies' benefits packages, in my opinion.
Yeah, we were just literally talking about it yesterday, about what's a charity that we can work with next year that we can go do something with. And I'm thinking, when I was growing up and when my wife was growing up, you had your church groups, or whatever, youth groups or whatever, that would all come together and do Habitat for Humanity, and they'd go build a house.
Yeah, that's what we did. That's what we're at.
So doing something like that is really giving back to the community. I mean, I think it's somebody that Jason, you and I have, I worked with just a little bit. You probably worked with a lot at our previous company. He is doing, I think it's like school buses for underprivileged areas, and doing that program. You know who I'm talking about, right, Jason?
Yeah.
And a lot of our former colleagues are working there now.
Yeah, the company does for a lot of disabled children.
That's awesome.
I'll say for disabled, and again, it's you go again, a whole nother show. But when you go to engagement's driven a lot within a company,
right?
Partly because of good benefits. Again, I always bring up this Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So you have your basic physiological needs, and I tie them to safety, right? So, is the workplace safe? Then you get into your next level of needs, which tie into your comp, your benefits package. Am I being taken care of? And then you get into this esteem and belonging area within the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And that's where it gets into this mission, where the individual feels like they fit in the company.
Right.
And one of my point is, and I know sometimes my points run on, but believe me, I always have a reason why. It gets to the mission, the vision, and the values of that company. And that's exactly what Eric's talking about right now is that, how awesome is it to work for an employer whose mission and vision is so critical from a give back perspective, to fill a gap within society for underprivileged individuals like that are suffering from disabilities, just to provide them school bus transportation.
Right.
Awesome. Like I want to work for that employer, right? Like that's, versus being able to get good benefits from, and again, I don't want to knock it because I know people that work in this industry working for a company that sells liquor or beer.
Right.
What are they contributing? I don't, I'm selling beer and liquor to society versus a company that I'm working for them and they're providing busing underprivileged, disabled children. It's like, I know if I had to go and pick it out of a hat with equal benefits and equal wages, which one I'd be picking, right? Because that's the mission, the vision, and the values of where I would want to work. So again, it's very, very. There's definitely a tie there.
It's pride too. You're proud to be with the company and represent them.
Like I said earlier in the podcast, feeling good about life. What makes you happy, and how does that employer feed into that happiness?
Right.
So,
like every beginning of school year, the company where I work, we choose a lower end school or school in the area, and we do a school drive where we're grabbing pencils and we're doing all that stuff so we can help give back. We did a food can drive. It's now the holiday season. We love doing those types of things. We have, I love how you said that, Jason. Engagement. We actually have an engagement committee to literally do things, and they literally put something out today that said, "Hey, if you want to be part of this, and I'm going to be doing a walk. It's a 2-mile walk. I don't think it benefits anybody, but it's going to be fun,
Right.
And I got my team to all register, so we're going to all walk together. To me, it's like, hey, it's a team building thing. We're going to walk. We'll probably have something to eat afterwards, and taking a couple hours out of our Saturday night to go do it right there, like on the beach, Satellite Beach, Florida.
That's awesome.
But I love companies that believe in that. They believe in giving back to the community. They believe in engaging to find out what they want. What should we do? Like every single month, we have like a breakfast at work. We're bringing in food for everybody.
Oh, I love that too. That's the best. Food is the best.
Right. It brings everybody together, and you get to see people that you may not always see.
Right.
And that to me, that starts building that unity around everything. And when you have upper leadership that are joining you in that, they're not just going, oh, that's just for the employees. No, they're joining you with it. They're talking with people. Right. It creates that engagement. It creates a much happier workplace. To me, I'm going to be straight up. That is a perk for me, that was a perk. One size, as what Jason's saying, one size doesn't fit all, but that to me was a perk. Not the fact that I get free breakfast every month, but it's the fact that I can have that camaraderie. It doesn't hurt. Trust me. I mean, we had Panera Bread and Chick-fil-A this morning or yesterday morning. So, I'm not going to complain at all, but it's just about what type of culture does that company actually have?
Yep. I like how they give you the T-shirts too. You can wear the company T-shirts. I think that's pride. That's why I used to be like the banks. The banks around here, they're everywhere. Our bank, Penn Community Bank, they got their T-shirts on. You see the ladies all the time. They're everywhere. They send them. They send them out. And they have to do events.
With some of these volunteer days, these volunteer events, or Habitat for Humanity, or I had one that at one point we were called the Green Team. We were planting trees, and everyone got shirts. We also brought. Hey, guess what? On this, bring your family too if you want.
Right.
Bring your kids too. We're all going to plant trees today. It's not just for employees, but bring your kids. Let your kids come and they can plant trees as well. So getting tying the employees in, not just through them, but bring their families from a community event, because then you're making it personal, right? Then you're tying the work and the personal together. And that really elevates the effect of the volunteer effort or the volunteer.
I love it. All right, guys, man, we made it through some. Didn't get
how many sheets of paper did we make through? 2?
What's that?
Did we make it through 2 sheets of paper?
Yeah, 2, and I didn't even touch the performance manager, so I got management. I mean, that we wanted to get to, but we're already at 1 hour and 5 minutes. I'll tell you what, that goes fast, man.
Yeah,
the Fox 5 doesn't even go that fast. It doesn't.
Unfortunately, we were not the Fantastic Four tonight. Kylie was.
Yeah, Kylie was out of the weather, and I wish one day.
Weather, but...
You know what I want for Christmas? 10 followers that comment. But no, I mean, I wish I went 10, and I got 10. They're all me and 4 other people. But no, again, I appreciate you guys coming on, and these are great subjects. And if somebody walks out with one thing,
I was literally talking. David, I told you where I'm actually at tonight.
Right.
I was talking to the leader, and he said, "Eric, this is so cool that you're able to give back to the community." And I literally did a talk in Orlando at a job fair just so I can give back to the community. And I feel it's in my heart that, I never want to stop giving back to the community. So whatever I can do to help somebody, whether it's get a job or have them realize that, man, I could ask for a different perk at work. Maybe they have that, or maybe that
a lot of people,
here's the cool thing. What if one of the people that's listening and watching this show, maybe not live right now, but later on, they go, my goodness, that is a great perk. I'm going to bring that up to leadership, and they become the hero. To me, that means tonight was a success.
Yep. Jason's my hero. Jason's always
going to be my hero.
Yeah, I think that happens. I don't know. I just grow into Jason. Everybody likes Jason. They comment Jason, and they like Jason.
Because he's always got a tie on.
I know.
You know how many years I waited to start dressing up again. So
I know, right?
I went to an all boys Catholic high school where I had to wear a suit and tie every day.
Suit and tie.
And then when I went into business environment, I never had to wear it anymore. It was like never. And then for the last 10 years, I worked from home. So, granted, we were on camera more and more, but I still was like never had to sit up. And
you had the Zoom clothes on. You were very professional up top wearing basketball shorts.
Man. Yeah. Your hair's perfect. I don't have any, but your hair is perfect. It's just perfect. It's like you.
Now I'm going all out now. All out.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. We're right after this. Let me just put this video, and thanks everybody for watching tonight, and we'll be back. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Happy holidays.